Good evening, everybody. Sorry that it's dark out. Sun is set already, about 15-20 minutes ago, I guess. On my way home from work, and I got a question from Michelle Mamil asking about a congressional resolution about the 7 Noahide Laws. I have to recognize first and foremost what this congressional. I don't think it was a congressional. Maybe it was a congressional resolution. I thought it was maybe an executive statement from the president. But in any event, this whole conspiracy theory about this is baseless, as far as I know. Again, I'm not a Lubavitcher Chassid. I don't know what secrets they might have that I don't know about. But as far as I know, I'm not aware of any conspiracy to impose the 7 Noahide laws as law, including the death penalty for violating the 7 Noahide laws. I'm not aware of anything along those lines being in anybody's mind within the American government. Again, this is just from what I know, and I'm being honest here. That's all. But this resolution, it's really been taken out of context, and I really blame, the Lubavitcher Hasidim for trying to, for how they've approached all of these things. So basically, every year on whatever day in the Gregorian calendar, the birthday of Rabbi Schneerson, who was called the Lubavitcher Rebbe by his followers, whatever his Hebrew birthday falls out on the Gregorian calendar, they lobby to have that day be recognized, I guess, by Congress as something called Education Day USA. And in one of the proclamations, they got wording in there to say that to recognize that the 7 laws of Noah are the foundation of human society. The truth of the matter is, that's not historically accurate in any intellectually honest manner. 7 laws of Noah are a concept. The 7 commandments of the children of Noah is would actually be called in Hebrew the Sheva Mitzvos B'nai Noach. It was not historically the foundation or the basis of society, but rather the 10 Commandments. It's just that the concept of the 7 Noahide laws is a concept that's found in the Talmud, as far really in a theoretical sense as to what does God expect from the non-Jewish people of the world. And it's based upon biblical exegesis and a homiletical study, but it's not, well known enough in the world that it would be the equivalent in any way of the 10 Commandments and its impact on society. The fact of the matter is, it's very similar to the 10 Commandments, and it contains some of the same prohibitions in the 10 Commandments, which indeed include the prohibition against murder, prohibition against adultery, prohibition against idolatry, a prohibition against theft. So these are similar to the 10 Commandments. Those 4 are pretty much identical. Although, again, when you get into rabbinical interpretations, not exactly identical. And then you have certain commandments that only exist in one or the other. And so the 10 commandments include Sabbath, they include honoring parents, they include prohibition against bearing false witness in a court of law. And the laws of Noah include prohibition against cursing the name of God, against basically animal cruelty, taking a limb from a live animal, and also a positive commandment to set up courts of law to uphold these laws. There are different interpretations also as to what the punishment is for violating these laws and what the courts of law are established in doing. There are interpretations, once we get to the medieval commentators upon the Talmud, there are those who interpret that the court of law would be required in all cases to give the death penalty for any violation of the 7 laws of Noah. That's not the majority opinion. The more well-recognized opinion, again, because Chabad Lubavitch has an emphasis on certain opinions over others, particularly those of Maimonides, who it appears to be of the opinion that we just mentioned. It seems that they ignore that there are other opinions in the medieval authorities who say, no, that's not what it means. It means that courts have the authority to give anything up to and including the death penalty for a violation of these laws, but they are by no means required to give the death penalty for violation of any of these laws. They could give other punishments for violation of these laws, such as monetary, restitution, or other things. And again, there are different interpretations among the different commentators. We should be precise about, again, this goes down to about first of all, what this blasphemy is, because that's what you're claiming is that, and I know you're not claiming, I know that this is a conspiracy theory, that the claim is that Christians would be subject to the death penalty because they're in violation either of blasphemy or of idolatry by practicing their faith. Both of these claims are patently false, because under the rubric of the 7 laws of Noah, first of all, when the term that's translated generally as blasphemy in Hebrew literally means blessing the name, and it's a euphemism for the opposite, for cursing that name. That's a biblical concept that we see in the book of Job, where Job's wife says, curse God and die, meaning that if one curses the name of God, they're liable to the death penalty. Job was a non-Jew. He was under the rubric of the 7 laws of Noah, although a Jew would also be liable to the death penalty for this as well. But again, the actual Hebrew idiom is bless God, but it's always translated by every Bible translation that I know as curse God, because again, that's in the beginning of the book of Job, I think in the 2nd chapter or the 3rd chapter, where Job's wife approaches him about this. So certainly blasphemy would not be the issue here. What about idolatry? So there's discussion, it's already in the Talmud, of what exactly constitutes idolatry for a Noahide, for a non-Jew. And basically the way we would say it is that Christianity would not be considered idolatry according to the vast majority of understandings for a non-Jew. Again, there are other opinions that disagree, but again, including Maimonides, although Maimonides has a tremendous respect for Christianity, and he has a lot of positive things to say about what Christianity did for the world, to bring ethical monotheism to the world. And yet Maimonides is often quoted as, and also not only that, but Maimonides says that we are allowed to study the Bible together with Christians, that Jews and Christians are allowed to study the Bible together because of our shared heritage in the Bible. So with all this being said, most of the opinions, though, say that Christianity, for various reasons, would not fall under the rubric of idolatry under the 7 laws of Noah. So that's pretty much the answer that I would have. But the bigger answer is that this congressional statement in recognition of Education Day USA had no legal ramifications. It was a statement announcing an unofficial holiday, of which there are many, many unofficial holidays on the congressional calendar, and this is we're not talking about a legal holiday. We're talking about recognition of a day that is observed by some people. That's really what you had there. Nobody is, kind of along the lines of, we have different days on the calendar: Constitution Day, Religious Freedom Day, which was recently, other days like this. These days have no legal bearing. They are just days on the calendar that, as opposed to today was Martin Luther King Day. That is a legal holiday, which means that, government institutions are closed, etc. There's no mail on Martin Luther King Day. Education Day USA is not even, I would say, on the level of a day like Constitution Day, or Mother's Day, Father's Day. These are also days that, are kind of unofficial type of days on the calendar that don't have, although Mother's Day and Father's Day always fall on Sunday, so anyway the government offices are closed. But this was really an innocuous thing that I think the Lubavitcher Hasidim, by pushing this, really opened themselves up. They should have had a little bit more wisdom. The Talmud says, who is wise, he who sees the future. They should have had a little bit more wisdom in understanding that people could misconstrue and misinterpret the thing that they were lobbying for, that really doesn't help anybody and doesn't do anything. It's just, trying to show honor to their rabbi. The Satmar Hasidim don't go and try to make something in Congress for the Satmar Rebbe's birthday. It's a silly thing. There's no basis for trying to do something like this, and by doing this, they've opened up unnecessary cans of worms that led people to make up ridiculous conspiracy theories that have no basis in anything. I'm not saying that they're wrong. I understand they're trying to do something good, but they should have had a little bit more wisdom in recognizing, our position in the world. And a lot of it has to do with the arrogance of the Lubavitch community. It's really a my way or the highway, very fundamentalist community that pretty much rejects anything that's other than their own approach. And when they do things like this, or when they put up the big menorahs everywhere and all the other things that they do that have no basis in Jewish law or Jewish tradition, they just do it because they can. They cause quite often more problems than, unintentionally. I know they mean well, but they wind up, by doing these stupid things, they put themselves into difficult situations, let's say. And I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for saying this, but it's not the mainstream of Orthodox Judaism to engage in these types of practices, and it leads to these types of nonsense, with these types of conspiracy theories and so forth. And the same thing, it even goes to the point where, you have certain anti-Semites who will say, "Oh, look, President Trump's daughter and son-in-law, they pray at the Lubavitch synagogue and this and that, and they connect the dots with all these things, and it's really, really quite ridiculous, because the truth of the matter is, Lubavitch, they're not a dangerous group. They're not going to be doing any things like this, but they bite off more than they can chew when they do things, when they're never going to impose these types of things. As far are there maybe some extremists among them, mentally ill people who do wind up kind of doing crazy things? Yes, but never to this extent, and I don't think we're ever going to see. I can hope and pray that we'll never see anything, any kind of violence and so forth coming out of that community, other than things that have come out that are a little bit different, and generally they're coming out of the more extreme branches, certain that really are engaging in idolatry themselves, according to traditional Jewish views, and the way that they, the vast majority of them revere their Rebbe, and I think a slight majority of them believe him to be some kind to be Messiah, which is ridiculous because nobody's the Messiah until they do what the Messiah is supposed to do. And so if he didn't build a temple yet, he didn't do all these things, he's not the Messiah yet. And I don't think he's going to be, but but anyway, it doesn't really matter. But then you have a small minority within this community, the Lubavitch community, that actually deified their late Rebbe and go on to say that he's their creator, and that's idolatry. That's truly is idolatry. Certainly for a Jew, it's idolatry. For a non-Jew, probably isn't. To believe something as ridiculous as that. But that's where and there have been instances of violence coming out of that community. So that's the story. I mean that community. I mean the small community that's idolatrous. So I don't know what else to say. If you have any questions, comments, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you later.